What is up? Welcome to episode 21 of Etsy Jam. In this episode, Richie and I talk about greed. Good versus bad greed. And yes, we are claiming that there is a good kind of greed out there. It involves wanting only the best for other people, giving advice, crazy expensive gym memberships, and little kids who try to ride the Polar Express without a ticket. Stick around for another crazy journey in part 1 of a part 2 series on greed. What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 21 of Etsy Jam. No guest this week, but we would like to talk with you guys about greed. All right, an interesting topic, right? Greed is something that when we think about greed, it's usually pretty negative, right? Like when I think of greed, I think of some dude in a corporate office wearing like a stiff suit and just taking advantage of people, trying to get more money for himself, build his own wealth, gain more power, buy fancier cars, expensive things, living lavishly, all of these things that he aspires to have and to do. But we want to take that greed and kind of redefine the word today and talk about how greed doesn't have to be something that's negative, how we can make greed something positive.
That's right. So greed gets a negative connotation, and actually looking up the definition, it by definition is negative. But you know what? Like most things, especially on the internet, we can redefine what it means. So let's go ahead and do that, because that sounds fun. All right. So would it be greedy, Gordon, to want only the best for people? I mean, because that sounds, like you're pretty demanding right there, right? You want only the best for somebody.
Yeah.
Is that greedy?
Can
you be greedy for good?
I guess you probably could. If it's for other people, it doesn't seem like it'd be very greedy.
Right. It wouldn't, would it? So one of the things is giving advice. So have you ever had anybody ask you for some advice? Now I'm not talking about professionally in our current project or anything. I'm just talking about in general. Maybe you have a friend or family member. They're like, hey, can you give me some advice on, you have a design background and programming. So maybe they want you to like build them a website or something like that. Have you ever had anybody spend a whole bunch of your time with nothing in it for them, and you really just wanted to help them? And you thought, oh my gosh, they're going to love this. I did all this work. And then crickets, kind of dropped the ball. Now, anything like that ever happened to you?
I can't think of any examples, but I'm sure that's happened.
Well, good for protecting the innocent. It happens. It's happened to me. I know it happens to plenty of other people I talk to. And it's unfortunate because really what happens is I get all excited about like this project, whatever I'm helping them with. I'm really excited. They're going to go do this, right? And then they don't do it. And it's really upsetting. Now, selfishly, I want to be like, hey, like I helped with that. I want to feel like, hey, I helped with that. I contributed to something really positive. But unselfishly, I really wanted them to follow through with it so they can feel good about what they did, right? So that they can actually do what's best for them. The problem is that I see all way too often is when people ask for something free or they get something free, that's the value they place on it. Okay. They just like we've talked about the wine before, right? We've talked about wine glasses. The wine in this glass versus this glass. If I tell you this is $100 glass of wine, this is $1 glass of wine, when you take a sip of this one, you think it's like the holy elixir. Okay. People put that in their heads. Same with water. Oh, this isn't tap water. This is water from the purest spring in the entire world. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can taste it all. It's so delicious and all the vitamins. It's like, no, that's actually tap water. But not just tap water. I did the dishes with this first. And that's what you're tasting, right? Like, but people love that stuff. What I equate this to is gym memberships, Gordon. You ever joined a gym?
I did.
How'd that go? How long did you go?
For a while, I went a lot.
Yeah? Then what happened?
Stopped going.
Yep. Ever have?
Then I stopped paying for the membership.
You eventually did stop paying for it.
Yeah.
What ends up happening, and this is like a famous thing for gym memberships. Have you ever been at the gym in January, February?
Oh yeah, it's crazy, right? All the New Year's resolutions, all these people that want to get in shape and stuff like that.
Yep.
It gets pretty nutso right after the new year.
You ever notice how that's also when they have a bunch of gym specials? So they get a whole bunch of people in the door for cheap. They make it really low cost, low barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Problem is, people aren't putting anything in the line there. Their aversion to loss makes it so it doesn't matter if they go to the gym. When I sell you a $15 gym membership, I don't care as long as you pay, right? Typically how the gyms work, they don't want everyone to show up. If everyone shows up, they have to get more equipment. That's the problem with a physical space like that. But if I really care about you, I want you to show up. I want you to gain something when you come over, and I want you to lose something when you don't.
So you're saying
Why?
my gym should charge me more?
Oh, yes. I think if your gym charged you an amount that's painful for you to lose, right? Most people don't care about losing $1. Okay. Might not care about losing $15. Some people might not care about losing $150, right? But once you start getting into real money, that's when you start talking about real loss, right? Like, hey, I'll bet you $1. Like, do I really care? Right?
Yeah.
Not really. I'm not going to do anything that's challenging to avoid losing $1. Now you start talking about like $150. Oh yeah, I'm doing it. Like, you bet me like I can't do 10 push-ups a day for a month and I'm gonna lose $100. Well, yeah, I'm gonna do that. $1? No. I'll be on the couch. I think if gyms want to keep people there and they really want what's best for people, being greedy for the people, for their members, they would incentivize showing up more. Mm-hmm. Maybe even in a gym's case, right? Like the membership, like you scan in, the membership is, $50. But if you don't show up X amount of times, and like maybe when you sign up, you get to set the goal. But it's got to be a reasonable goal. When you don't sign up, we're going to charge you this fee. Now, there's a website out there, and I don't remember what it's called, but I've come across it a few times where people talk about it and setting stakes, right? Stakes, not as in like the sizzling, I'm going to cook them, but stakes is in the something to lose, something on the line. Mm-hmm. And it's actually a really interesting website, but it allows you to set a coach, a moderator, a referee. And you put up a goal and you set a referee and you say, I'm going to do this or else. And this is how much money. And there's even some formulas that people put out there for based on what you have to lose, right? This is how much money you should actually put on the line. So it's sufficiently painful for you, sufficiently motivating. And there's the other thing. This isn't money that just goes somewhere random. This is actually money that the idea is you're supposed to pick the place you most despise that money to go. So if there's some sort of group that you hate, right? Some charity that you're just like, they're the worst. That's the one you pick. Because if you fail, that's what's happening. And you go further, you stretch further. So I think a lot of things are like gym memberships, and people always want those to be less expensive. But if people really want to succeed with it, I think they have to put more on the line. Let me give you another example. I collect a bunch of free crap. I was looking through that recently. And it's not just physical crap either. However, like who hasn't been to some sort of event and pick up a bunch of stuff on the tables? Like, oh, free pens, dude. And like squishy balls. Like what? All this stuff. And it's just like, it's free crap that you never use. But I collect digital crap also. So like, how many times have I given my email so I can get this like awesome ebook that I have to have because it addresses the exact problem that I'm having right now? But it was free. So what do? I put it in my folder and say, I'm going to come back tomorrow. But yesterday I said tomorrow. And then that passes. And next thing you know, I've got this huge folder that I can't even bear to look at because there's so much free crap in there that I haven't yet done. It becomes like a folder of shame. Now, is there good stuff in there? Oh yeah, you're damn right there's good stuff in there. There actually is, a lot to learn and lots of good lessons in there. But I ignore them. Why? Because they're free. Look at my bookshelf, though. When I pay for a book, I read it. Because I am not going to go buy a book and then not read it because that seems like a loss. I don't want to lose, right? Reading the free book is just a win, right? People are more averse to loss than they are to winning.
Yeah, it's cool you mentioned that. I went to a usability conference once, and they had like door prizes. One of the things was winning this digital library collection of all these like design and usability books and stuff like that. and I happened to win, which was crazy because I hardly ever win anything. And I didn't hear anything from them like for weeks afterwards. So I shot them an email and kind of said, hey, like, what's up? Supposed to get this library thing. She's like, oh yeah, sorry. Sent over the link and everything. I downloaded all the stuff. I probably opened those things like once to page through them, and then once I had like looked at them, never went back in there again. Which it's like these are a lot of e-books that were in this thing. There's probably a lot of information in there, but I never really went back other than scanning through them that first time.
We have been conditioned since very early on to recognize that free means worthless, right? So zero cost equals zero value. That's what we've been conditioned to. Also, that if there's nothing to lose, right? There's no loss to it. Why do it? And it's unfortunate because I bet those are good books. I mean, I bet they actually are. If you actually went through those books and did those lessons, I bet you'd come out with something.
Probably.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate that it works that way.
Yeah.
Headspace, the meditation app. You have that. You're actually one of my friends on there. I don't think you've ever used it.
I don't. If I'm on there, I don't remember having it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I received a free voucher because one of their things is that paying members will get a free voucher so they can get a friend to use it. Well, maybe they should do more of a bonus than a free, because I actually did start it, so I used it for a little while, but then I stopped.
Why'd you stop?
Actually, so have you ever tried meditating, Gordon?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you first try it, 2 minutes in feels like you've been sitting there for hours, right? So it started out with 5 minutes, and I think went to 10 minutes, pretty quickly. If it didn't just start at 10. I got used to the 10. I was like, actually, this is really enjoyable. This is great. And then they upped it to 15 minutes. When they increased it to 15 minutes, I hit a pain threshold that I didn't know 5 minutes could do. And it just became super painful to do the extra 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it through. Now, this was all during my non-paid portion, right?
Yeah.
So I let it go. I didn't feel like I was losing anything. I was like, oh man, I only have it for another week. What should I do? Well, apparently I kept saying tomorrow. I literally said tomorrow every single time.
Like yesterday.
Yeah.
Today.
It was yesterday. Tomorrow. I was like, I'll do it tomorrow. And I let it lapse. Well, lo and behold, I managed to get myself another one. Right? Apparently, same friend can give you the same ones, put them on the same account, nothing funny there. Just, you can do that. Well, as I was doing this the next time, because again, I used it twice. As I was signing up though, or applying this code, I paused and I was like, I really don't why would I want to spend the money I don't have to? I have the voucher right here. But something in my heart was also telling me, spend the money because it will make you do it and it's good for you. You're doing this because it's good for you, right? But you need the extra motivation to do it. Spending it would mean that you're going to lose whatever that thing cost, right? Well, what'd I do? I made the wrong choice. I said, nah, man, I am motivated. I'm going to do this. No, I used it twice. Seriously, though, I want to do it. It sends me reminders on my phone every day, and I ignore them every day.
Well, that's a tough one, too. I didn't use Headspace, but I ended up, maybe I did, I don't know. But I ended up using this other meditation app. Don't remember the name of it. That's how long I must have used it. But the problem I ran into was it takes I think it was 10-minute chunks, right? And I really liked it. It was really enjoyable. But I never know. I can never say without a doubt that starting now, I have 10 minutes without interruptions. I always felt like no matter what was going on, I couldn't rely on the fact that I had 10 minutes. So it was really hard for me to sit down and say all right, I have time to do this right now and to be able to focus on this and really make the most of it. And then I just kept pushing it off because I never felt like I had time to do it, even though it was only 10 minutes. But you know how it is, man. Like with kids and everything too, especially you start doing something like baby's crying, like, okay, interrupted. Now I gotta go do that. So that was kind of like, I don't know if I just like reasoned that all out in my head or whatever, but I never ended up using it because I never felt like I had the time to sit down, like for sure having 10 minutes uninterrupted time to do that. When I might have had 10 minutes, I just couldn't plan for that.
That's another really interesting example of aversion to loss, right? It's like, I feel the same way. I feel the same way about going to the gym. Like, well, I don't feel like doing a full workout, so I might as well not even go at all.
Yeah.
If I can't get a full 10 minutes of meditation in, what's the point of 8? Because once I get started, I'm so worried about like losing those other 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, but I lost 2 minutes. Well, yeah, but you could have had 8. Well, that's not the point. The point is I lost 2.
This is true. This is true, man. So on
mental traps.
I could see that. So Apple Watch, I have an Apple Watch, and one of the things that they added with the update is this Breathe app, which I'm really enjoying. It's really cool. And basically it interrupts you throughout the day. And for like a minute, you get to like sit there and do this breathing exercise, which is very relaxing, actually. Well, the other day I was telling Richie the story already, but I'll share with everyone else who happens to be listening.
The world, Gordon.
The entire world. So I'm doing the exercise, right? And this was a particularly stressful day. There was lots of stuff going on that was just kind of like, and my watch came up and said, hey, take a break and do the breathe thing. And I was like, oh, perfect. I totally need to do this because I'm feeling kind of like a ball of stress right now. And so I'm upstairs in my office in my house. Wife and kids are home. And I'm sitting here doing the breathe thing. Midway through it, it's only a minute long, right? Like midway through it, I hear Kara start screaming. And my wife tell me that she was hanging on the baby gate that's at the bottom of the stairs and has somehow like wrestled the thing off of the railing that it was attached to, and now it's all broken and needs fixed because we need to have the gate down there so that the baby doesn't try to climb the stairs, blah 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 blah. But the whole point, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is like 30 seconds into this 1 minute of my day that I wanted here. 30 seconds in, I can't even rely on having a minute's worth of time. But that's exactly the same attitude, right? It wasn't like, well, that was a nice 30 seconds. It was, I didn't get my full minute, dang it.
Right? And that's like our default thing. Like, it's not to be, that's why I think you have to be so conscious to be appreciative of things. I don't want to say it doesn't come natural, but our inclination seems to be so much stronger towards I lost it or it broke or whatever happened. It's like, wait a minute, it broke, but you got to keep it for like 10 years, didn't you? Yeah, it's not the point. It's broken now. It's like, all right, where's the appreciation?
Yeah.
Like, I run into that stuff. Like when something wears out, like it's like the end of the world. We forget about how much you enjoyed it the rest of the time.
Yep.
But yeah, 30. That's a good story. I still enjoy that story. Even though I heard it the other day, I still enjoy that story.
You'd be like, did it happen again? No, I fixed the gate. Hasn't happened since.
It's a nice transition into the next form of being greedy, because that's being greedy with your time. And I have to imagine that, like most of us who have like different things going on, especially if you're working at home, there's a lot less boundary. There's a lot less boundary of like, well, I'm not home, so you can't bother me. Like, you can't just, if you work at home, you can't be at the office and turn off your phone and be like, I'm in a meeting, right? Like, no, the door is right there. Like, you want to bother me, you come storming through the door, and that happens a lot. So I think being greedy with your time is important. Now, it's important not just because it's good for you, but if you don't take care of yourself, right? If you don't take care of your own time management, you don't take care of yourself, you don't take care of like the meditation, the head stuff, you're no good to other people, right? Like, if I'm just a complete disaster, who am I going to help? Can't help you. Can't help anybody else, right? It's like, you got to take care of yourself first too. And you start, the more people you're trying to serve, right? The more demands there are on your time, which means in some way, you have to filter out who gets the attention when, right? Like, you have to pick like who's next, right? Now there's like democratic kind of ways, like the line. That's really not democratic, is it? I'm not sure what you call it, but when you go to the meat counter and they have you take a number, and they're like, "We will help you when your number is served."
I think that's fascist.
Fascist. Okay.
I don't know. I just made that up.
Man, I don't even know what fascist means. Someone's probably gonna get all mad that I don't know what it means, but I don't know what it means. I've heard the word, so don't think I haven't heard it. I get stuck between. I don't understand all the different like layers of it. Okay, there's democracy, and then there's socialism, and there's fascism, and there's national. Like there's all this different stuff, and I get it. Okay, there's a lot of different ways.
But taking a number at the deli counter seems like a fair thing, right? Like that's like first in, first out.
It seems like a fair thing. Yeah. Absolutely.
Same thing with the DMV. Take a number there.
Yeah, I love that. Like I always feel like I'm getting the best experience when I go to the DMV, and especially if you ever gotten there early and see how many people are lined up to get that first number. Dude, it's ridiculous. So you're crazy. In line to wait for the doors to open, so you can go in and pick a number and wait in line.
Yeah, you're packing up your tent from the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Getting your camp chairs all rolled back up and in there carrying cases.
Right? Yeah, because you've been camping out to get a new driver's license, like it's a new Apple phone or something. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's not even that you want a new driver's license. It's that they made it expire.
Yeah.
Kind of like an Apple phone.
Kind of like Apple phones.
You've had this for 11 months. It's
pretty much toast. We have a new one now. Did you know that?
Pretty soon these things are going to be biodegradable.
This one will be good. Yeah.
Like, you didn't get that sweaty, did you? Because it speeds up the biodegradation process. Not sweatier than normal. How much is too sweaty?
This is only good for about 30,000 text messages. How much do you say you text?
Oh, man. There might be truth to this. Anyways. So, when there's different options, right? Like the DMV. Deli counter, stuff like that. If you constantly have a line out the door, there are some different options. You can scale those up, right? They're not very personal things. It doesn't really matter who's helping you because it's a very standard, like, production line kind of thing, right? Like, well, there's lots of people. I need more people to hand out chicken. Okay? Cool. Not many people care who hands them chicken, right? Like, hey, you can hand me raw chicken, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. All right. I'll take a couple of those, right? No problem. When you're doing something more personal, I think it matters more. You're touching more of what people like specifically do. Granted, with chicken, stuff like that, you're touching their food, but you're not cooking it for them. You know what I mean? That's a more personal experience. So one of the things, like for instance, what we do, we've got a really small team, right? It's you, it's me, it's Kevin, right? Like that's I like that.
Yeah,
that's the whole team. I like that.
I do too.
I like the trio.
Yeah,
it's nice. Like we all have good relationships with each other. It's really easy to stay on the same page. When we talk about things like how things are going, talk about things that customers bring up and stuff like that, it's really easy to stay on top of that type of stuff. All three of us can pretty easily read what the communications we get are, be familiar enough that I recognize people when they write in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And I like that. And I think that's important to recognize and something we should continue to be greedy about. It's our time. Because I like that. And I think that a lot of places lose that feel, right? Once you get to a certain size, you start thinking of like a call center.
Mm.
And nothing against a call center, but it's not what I would want.
Yeah,
right?
It would be really hard to maintain a relationship with your customers if they're calling in through a call center. It's like, well, what happened to Richie? Like, I remember I used to talk to him. What happened to Gordon? I used to have conversations with him. Now I'm kind of going through this intermediary.
And you
that
can't
doesn't
really
make me feel very good inside thinking of that.
No, it doesn't. And you can't really make exceptions for that either. Because then it becomes a point like, well, no, like the originals, right? There was a cutover. And if I met you after this date, or like if you came to us after this date, well, then you go to the call center. But if before, then you're like an original friend.
Yeah, you're grandfathered in. Like we're friends. Everyone else, our friends are full. We hit our limit.
No more friends. Right? So actually, friends are a good point too. Like, you're probably a lot, like many of us, you're probably a lot less discriminating in your younger years about, you know, who was your friend and who like you really spent a lot of time with. But now you got like wife and kids and stuff like that. Probably want your kids to be exposed to certain types of people, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe like
I think I could see that too, because it's like when you're a little kid, it's almost like you're still trying to learn things, you're still trying to figure things out, right? And your parents kind of tend to step in and be like trying to guide you a little bit with like who you are friends with, right? And I could totally see that as I'm with kids now myself, as my daughter's meeting people and stuff at school and whatnot like that, kind of having that same sort of thing of like, well, let's help her, right? Help her along and stuff like that. Now, I know some parents kind of get extreme with this. Hopefully, we're not too extreme with this, but I mean, there is kind of that like mothering kind of wanting the best for your kids kind of attitude.
absolutely. I felt like you were going to say something else with that.
No, I don't think I was going to go anywhere with that.
No, you know, that's the other thing, though. I mean, this is totally, I don't know, kind of like adjacent, I guess. But that's an interesting thing too. Like with kids, and like you know, you want the best for them, right? So greedy for the best for my children as well. But it's also often like, oh, what does that mean, right? Like an old, like very long-standing type of expectation is like everybody. I know it's totally a cliche, but like everyone wants like their kids to grow up to be like a doctor or a lawyer, right? Like who hasn't heard that one? Like, you know, it's the old cliche. But is that really what everyone wants? I don't think it is. I don't think that's really what like best for your kids really means, right? That's when things get more complicated, I think, right? Like you want people to be happy. Like you want your kids to be happy. You want everyone to be happy. Who would you not want to be happy? It's like, man, what would make
I
you
could
happy?
think of some people I wouldn't want to be happy.
Perfect.
I bought
Well,
tires from this guy for my car once and had a terrible, terrible experience with it. And I really don't care if he's happy. Let's see. I had a bad experience at college with one of my TAs. I don't care if they're happy.
I feel like I've heard that story before. Yes, I have. I have heard that story.
It's a good story.
That was a good story. I didn't hear the tire story, but
oh man, I don't even like telling these stories because it gets me all like, yeah.
no, don't worry about the tire story right now. We'll save that for another time.
Okay, good.
Something that like to the happiness thing, like what you want for your kids. Mike Rowe, right from Dirty Jobs. I like Mike Rowe. Apparently, a lot of people like Mike Rowe because he gets a lot of love on Facebook and stuff like that.
Seems like a good guy. He's down to earth, right?
He does seem like a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's anybody that doesn't like Mike Rowe, but if they don't like Mike Rowe, I don't want to prejudge them and say that, you know, like they must not be good or something, because I would definitely want to hear out their reason for it. But it seems really unlikely that anybody out there doesn't like Mike Rowe for a good reason, because he seems like a really good guy.
Kind of like Paul Rudd. Who doesn't like Paul Rudd? Love that guy.
What I really like about, you know, Mike Rowe is he seems like a down-to-earth guy, and he really stands for something. And he stands for something that really makes me think a lot too, right? Especially when you hear and see, like, you know, well, doctor, lawyer, engineer, like, got to be up here. Like, that's all you want your kids to do. Well, that'd be pretty miserable if everyone was just a doctor, lawyer, and engineer, because you wouldn't have anybody else doing anything else, right? We wouldn't do what we're doing. You wouldn't, I mean, Etsy wouldn't exist at all, right? Actually, most things wouldn't exist because most things aren't created by those three professions. I really like how Mike Rowe really brings to light, like, some of these jobs that I don't want to say have been looked down upon, but pretty clearly have been. Like, for some reason, for some time, like manual labor and stuff like that, you know, plumbing, electrician, stuff like that. Like, how did it become that, like, you know, that's not something you want your kids to like grow up and do? Because those seem pretty great. Like when you actually look at them, they don't seem bad. They seem good.
They do seem like jobs that are perfect candidates for never being replaced by computers. So probably a good job to have.
Yeah. Never be replaced by computers. Honest work. And like, if you like working with your hands, which I have to imagine a lot of our listeners do because, you know, Etsy is largely like a handmade type place, right? Like, seems good. Like, and I know, Gordon, you love working with hands so much that you have been doing all those roles. I mean, you've played electrician, you've played plumber, you've played all sorts of things for your house for the
Yeah.
past couple of years. And you just don't want to finish the job because you love doing it so much.
Oh, there's always more. It's the time thing that's the challenge with that. But yeah, no, I enjoy the learning process of all that stuff too, and just understanding more about how things work and how to fix things and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
So another thing that you bring up too about like the micro and people that love their jobs and stuff. I think another great example of this is Undercover Boss. I don't know if you've ever watched that show.
Yeah,
But
that's
like
a good show.
it's cool because like every episode kind of repeats itself, right? So if you've seen a couple, you've probably seen all of them. But they always highlight somebody who's not doing a great job, right? And they not always highlight, but usually they find someone who's not doing a great job, and they kind of get in trouble, right? Like, oh, the boss is here, and now you're in trouble. But they also highlight somebody who really loves their job and who does a fantastic job with their job, and they highlight that too. And that's one of the things I really like seeing about that show is the variety of jobs that they cover and the things that these people are doing, but the people that are just really passionate about what they're doing, no matter what it is, right? You don't have to be a doctor to be proud of what you do.
Absolutely. My favorite part about that show is where they highlight that people are doing something really well. And it's not their skill, just to be really clear. It's not their skill in what they do.
Yeah.
That's another one of the micro things, the passion.
Yeah.
You know, like he really talks about how you don't have to be passionate about like whatever it is. Like, do you pack boxes? Like one of the undercover boss episodes was a fulfillment center for a bunch of online like commerce places. So like if there's like sporting goods stores and stuff like that, they have a physical store. If you go on their online store, there's not like its warehouse, like insert name, like their warehouse necessarily fulfilling these. There's a big warehouse that holds a bunch of products from a bunch of those stores. And when the orders come in, it goes there to get sent out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, inside there, they have people. Obviously, I'm sure some of them have like robots and stuff like that too, but they have people that are runners and they run around to the different shelves and they pack boxes, right? Do these people like wake up every morning and be like, boy, I wish I could like pack more boxes because I just have a super passion for packing boxes? No, but when you see these people working, they have a very strong passion for doing a great job. Like, you know, it might not be what I would do with my spare time or as a hobby or like, you know, start like a box packing like club, but when you see them, like they love it. They love what it does. Like not just the act of packing the box, but like what it means, you know, because like it's going to somebody. Like do a good job because someone's going to get this and it might be a gift, you know, like the story about how it goes through. And it's just really, really cool and motivating. This was quite a tangent we went on, but I enjoyed talking about it.
I think we're running parallel to where we want to be still. We just got to hop back over a track.
Yes. I don't know how to transition to this next one, Gordon. So,
well, like, okay, so we're on tracks, right? And trains run on tracks, and people ride trains. And so you could call them riders.
That's a good one. So speaking of trains, and actually going back to the deli counter example, right? So now let's split these up. Most people that get in line at the deli counter, the meat counter, seafood counter, whatever counter you're standing at where you're picking a number, most people don't pick a number, stand in line, hang out, and then say, excuse me, I just had a question and wanted to talk to you a little bit about the meat or something like that. You know what I mean? Like most of the people are showing up and they have their order and they just say like, I want that. They take it and they go, right? So there's typically not much of a problem there. But there is this problem called the free rider problem in economics. And that is basically when you have people that aren't contributing, right? That are using up the goods. Now, a lot of times, like if you go look this up, it'll probably have a definition that's says something like, you know, this is valid when there is a finite resource that can be taken up. So a lot of things you might say, well, how does that have to do with like software, computers, and stuff like that? Like those are infinite. Well, they're not. They do scale really well. Don't get me wrong. But that's not the resource, right? It's back to time. It's back to, you know, serving people the absolute best and like back to greed with your time and stuff like that. And as Etsy shop owners, you need to be really aware of this too, because I can't tell you how many times I have read comments from Etsy sellers that are going back and forth with buyers, not just going back and forth with buyers, but then they're going to talk about it with other Etsy sellers. Back and forth with buyers about haggling on the price, or can I do this discount and that discount and and all this different stuff, right? Well, in the end, the story is not usually a happy one. It goes one of two ways, from what I've read and what sellers have told me. Either A, they spend a whole bunch of time and the person never actually even ends up buying, right? They end up just going somewhere else. They take that price and then they go somewhere else and they just use that against them. And they just go buy somewhere else, even though they just went and took up a bunch of time, a bunch of your finite resource, right? A non-buyer. That's disheartening. The other one is they do all this. They bend over backwards. They spend all this time. They give them the discount, all that fun stuff. And then the person gets it and says, this isn't what I expected. I want to send it back. And they leave them a bad review too.
Ouch.
Ouch. And I hate reading that. I hate reading that. And then what's worse though is not only it happens, but then they go and talk about it for like a long time. And just like bad feeling festers. You know? Sucks. Sucks. So now while that particular part is not a great definition of the free rider problem, free rider problem exists in a lot of, it sort of fits the, the spirit of the law. You know what I mean? Like it might not be the letter, but it's the spirit. The other, like more common, where the textbook example in economics is like museums that are free and are operated by donation, right? Most people show up, they go to the museum, they take the resources, they make it crowded, stuff like that. And then the only thing that actually supports it are the fundraising events, right? There's a handful of people that support the whole thing. And they don't really get their share of value out of it either, which kind of makes it difficult because, you know, the free riders are taking up the resources from the museum, so they can't spend it with the donors. And like, it's just a big unnecessary conundrum they run into. The free rider problem. So what do you do? Well, you're gonna have to make up your own decisions on how exactly you set up barricades, right? How you filter people out. In the case of an Etsy shop, man, I see this all the time. I see this all the time where people are, you know, posting like, hey, someone sent me a message and they're saying things like, do you have a discount? Why is it so expensive? You should charge this. Da, 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 da. Like all these different things that take their time, and then they post it and they post back at us this whole thing. A big one is like, you know, are you flexible on price and stuff like that too? I think what shops need to do is identify that this is very likely a free rider. This is very likely someone is not value-based. Your best of use of time is not to deal with this individual, right? It's not good for you. It's not good for the customers that are in line, right? Because right behind this message that you're answering is me with a very serious question. I want to buy this and I just want to make sure that, you know, it's personalized like this, like I'm understanding it, or, you know, maybe your listing said to message you, and that's what I'm doing. So while you're dealing with this person who's not going to buy, I've got a buyer right here who's just waiting to be helped. So what I do is I would recommend that when people ask about flexible on time and stuff like that, save yourself a little response. You can just paste in there, not use brain cycles, and also not really use your time, and be like, thank you so much. I, you know, really appreciate you checking out my shop and my listings. You know, as you can see, my shop is like, you know, handmade, this and that. We stress value. Our prices are set the way they are, you know, for whatever excuse, reason you have, right? Like you spend time hand painting them. You know, the market price is the market price, really, right? Like it's fair to give it to everyone for the same thing, really, unless there's a good reason not to. But, you know, really just send that and be done with it, and go help the people that are really part of your tribe. That's what I would say. So free riders and Etsy shops. I think that's important. Is there anything about free riders that I didn't cover, Gordon?
I think that's good. I would have liked maybe a little bit more on trains, but that's okay. Yeah, I was excited to hear about trains.
Have you ever seen the Polar Express?
Like the Tom Hanks animated movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that movie, they're on a train. Polar Express is a train. Okay.
Yeah.
It comes and magically, apparently, pops up down suburban streets to pick up kids and take them to the North Pole.
Are you
pretty fantastic concept?
Are you questioning whether or not this is like a feasible thing? Because I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, I'm not questioning whether or not it's feasible whatsoever. I'm just talking about the part where he can't find his ticket because it fell out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tom Hanks is coming around looking for free riders. He's looking for also known as stowaways.
Yeah.
Right. Now, to emphasize the severity of a free rider, Tom Hanks will throw you off the train if you don't have a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are like kids too. This train is full of kids, and he'll straight up throw them off the train.
You got to learn
That's
young.
how serious.
Yeah, no, you got to
Tom
learn
Hanks. Oh yeah, but that's how serious Tom Hanks takes free riding.
Yeah.
Right. Free riding. No, we throw you off the train. Doesn't matter if you're 12 years old. I'm not saying I support that. I'm just saying that Tom Hanks feels that strongly when he is the captain of a train or conductor of a train. That's how he handles things.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was good. That was a good train one.
Thank you. I look forward to hearing from Tom Hanks.
I love Tom Hanks. That'd be awesome if we heard from him.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. So Tom, if you're listening, we are fans. Actually, he's going to play the Miracle on the Hudson next, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, Sully. It's going to be a good one.
One of the headlines I saw about that movie was like, how many more failed trips can Tom Hanks be on? Because he keeps he's the captain. He's playing the ends up forever. He's got
Apollo
Castaway,
13.
Terminal, where he gets stuck in an airport.
Yeah.
Right? He's the man without a country and lives in the airport.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Right? Like, there's a lot.
Man, I would not want to be on a bus with him then, you know? Only bad things will happen.
If you look really closely, he is on the bus both times in the movie Speed. Fun fact, they weren't even trying to shoot that kind of movie. It was actually a totally different movie. Yeah. No, yeah, it was a comedy.
Yeah.
And he ended up on the bus, and then all that stuff went down.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, let's use it."
Yeah, dude, hey, use it.
keep rolling, because this is gold.
Yeah, fun fact. Look it up.
Yeah.
And if you can't find it, just email Gordon, and he'll send the links.
Yeah. All the actors were like genuinely freaked out that there was actually a bomb on their bus.
As they should have been, because Tom Hanks was there, and they're like, "Oh crap, he's the guy that's always in the movies where something happens. They never make it where they're supposed to go."
Yeah. Saving Private Ryan, right? There's a bunch now. I keep thinking of Tom Hanks movies.
I feel like he ended up where he was supposed to go. It just wasn't exactly somewhere you want to go.
Yeah. It was the whole mission thing.
Yeah. That crap. Tom Hanks is here. Now it's yeah. So speaking of Tom Hanks and big, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about Free. Now it's a big lie.
But before we get into that, we're actually going to cut this episode a little bit short, and we're going to make this part 1 of a part 2 series about greed. So, thanks for listening. If you guys want to hear about why Richie thinks that free is a big lie, or is it paid is a big lie?
Free is a big lie and paid is honest.
I'm just messing with you.
I know. But I wanted to get the second part in there too.
Okay. Anyway, tune in next week, and we're going to be talking about that. We will see you guys next time on Etsy Jam.